stood between me and home. So what do you reckon we do, eh? Run away? From the French? No, of course we didn't. Get drunk? Well, yeah, a few of us got drunk, but you know, every man deserves his courage. Fight? Well, we didn't just fight that day, no, we won! Hey! Now, to be fair, has anyone here heard of the Battle of Agincourt? Yeah. Some of us? Not all of us? I've been a little bit unkind, and I've started my story right at the end, and really I should start at the beginning. So, allow me to introduce myself. My name is John Palmer, and as you probably already guessed, I'm an archer. Now, when did I start my profession? I started when I was, how old are you? 6? Oh, you're nearly there. 7 years old! I started my archery 7 years old. And I know you're thinking, what on earth are you doing with a bow at 7? Well, get this. Rule number 1 of life is, do what your dad tells you. Or your mother for that matter, right? But why do my dad do it? Well, rule number 2 of life is, do what your king tells you. And by law, every Sunday after church, you have to go out and practice with your ear bow. Now, I've spent 7 years with this thing. 7 years growing strong enough to draw it back. 7 years growing accurate enough so I can pick out which eye I want to 50 yards. Now, you could say this little bit of you in my hand. It's now a little bit of me. A little bit of you, the wood, a little bit of me, the person. That was a good joke. Well, it's going to be a long talk. But 7 years, right? That's a long time to spend on any given profession. So why on earth would you do it? Well, get this. As an archer, you got paid 6pence a day. Let's try that again. Yeah. As an archer, you get paid 6pence a day. Thank you. It's a lot of money, right? Put it this way: if you're a mason, you've got to build castles, steeples, the lot. You get 4pence a day. Me, all I've got to do is take that arrow, put it in a Frenchman, and that is 6pence in the pouch. Easy work. Mind you, I will admit it does get easier. Because you see, if you're a duke on one of our campaigns, guess how much you get paid? 13 and a 4pence. 27 times what they pay me. 27. Can you believe it? And I'd wager any one of you couldn't find me a single duke. No, not a single one that killed as many Frenchmen as I did. Hell, not let alone 27 of me. In fact, you find me a Frenchman that did that, a duke that did that, and killed that many Frenchmen. Well, I'll give you one of my French trinkets. One of my French trinkets. Sorry, I didn't say trinket, did I? I said I'll give you a lesson to bow. How's that sound? Yeah. Tell you what, you look like trustworthy people, so I'm going to let you in on a bit of a secret. As an archer, yes, you've got a secret today, but you're also expected to, how to put it, acquire? That's a nice word, isn't it? You're expected to acquire a few bits and bobs on your travels. Now, before you try to be too harshly, just imagine, right? You're there in France, there's a house on fire, and, well, why it's on fire is irrelevant, but there it is burning down. And in amongst those flames, you spot a beautiful silver cross. Well, you can't just leave it there to burn away, can you? That'll make you a very bad Christian. So what you do is you go in there, you pick it up, and you put it in your pouch for safekeeping. Yeah? Maybe you're too honest for me. Or maybe you're just bored. And that's fair. So I know why you all gathered around here today. It wasn't to listen to old John Palmer talk about his archery, talk about how much he gets paid. No, you want to hear about the battle itself, don't you? Yeah? Yeah, you want to hear about those arrows that flew so many and so high and blinded out the sun. You want to hear about those French knights that shook the very ground beneath my feet, they came thundering towards me. Well, you're in luck. I'll tell you in 5 minutes. Because the thing is, right, okay, this story of ours, they don't start half dying, starving in a field somewhere. No, this story of ours starts with the siege of Harfleur. Because you see, my king, King Henry V, he wanted to make Harfleur English. So we do exactly what we should. Now, sail over there and lay siege to the town. Now, this poor town of theirs was an horrible place. Beautiful to look at, but horrible being there, I have to say. Now, we brought all the usual tools, you know. We brought catapults, we brought trebuchets, we're hurling boulders over those walls, we're hurling fire into them, we're hurling any cow that we can find as well. Moo! We also bring a brand new toy, known as a bombard, right? Big tube of iron, stick gunpowder and stone in one end, light the other, and boom! You're going to watch those beautiful white walls of Harfleur just come crumbling down. The problem was, Harfleur is full of French. And the French are many things that I can't say because there are children Saturday. But one thing I won't have said about them is that they're cowards, because they ain't. Because you know what they do when we go breaking down those walls of theirs? Well, they tear their own homes down. They build those walls back up using that timber, that stone. And we soon work out, we can't go through the walls, we can't go round them, and we can't go over them. So where's left to go? Underneath those walls, make siege engineers of you yet. So, we dig ourselves a little tunnel or a mine. And there I am, deep underground, thinking myself clever, thinking I'm going to pop up in the middle of our flow and give the French a scare. But it only turns out it's going to be me that gets the fright. Because see, the French, they hear about our little tunnel, they dig their own. And imagine me, I'm stood deep underground, a wall collapsed in front of me, stood there, Jesus! Stood there with a Frenchman! And I thought, what's he doing there? So I took my voucher and I chucked it in, clean off his shoulders. And then the second fella, he come running towards me, stepped back, stabbed him in the guts, give a good old twist, hitting it back up again. And then this third bloke come running at me. It's so dark you don't see the first two on the ground. As he come running towards me, he trips over the first two fellas. And I was laughing my head off as I walked over and I stabbed his goddamn neck. What? Well, I didn't want to do it. Obviously I didn't want to do it. You know? I'm a nice person, but you had walls either side of you, and you had men stood behind you. Now the only way you got out of that is if you went through a good answer one of them that came down that tunnel. Still, it wasn't all that bad. You know, Henry V was down there with us, fighting just as hard as we were. Not even our great old king could stop him collapsing the tunnel. We're back to where we started. Yeah. Do you know how long that siege went on for? Weeks. 6 weeks in total. Do you know how long we were told? We said it was going to take a few days to take this town, that's what we were told. No, I lost thousands of my friends there. Nothing fighting, nothing so glorious, no. Diseases, dysentery, the bloody flux, the fevers, they just dropped them like flies. Well, if you're too sick to fight, you're no good to us, so I remember just packing them on that ship and sending them off back to England. And well, truth be told, I don't really know what happened to them. I wonder if they even made it home. Still, enough of the grisliness, eh? It weren't all that bad, it was well worth it, because indeed, we made Harfleur English. So what's next for us? Well, we leave 90 lads there to make sure it stays that way, and the rest of us, we get the good news. We get the news that we get to go home. But there was a catch. The catch being that we don't get to go home from Harfleur. No, we're told we've got to go home from Calais, which is 8 days' march away. Right, so we pack our bags, we start our march, and 3 days into it, we arrived upon the shores of the River Somme. And as we stood there, I looked over the other side, what do I see? Well, it's the whole French army, standing there, welcoming me to their beautiful country. Now, I knew at this point, we ain't going to fight him here. There's no way we're going to beat him. So Henry comes up with the genius plan. He says, don't worry, lads, we'll find somewhere else to cross. So we do. We march for another week. And we get to a place called Pont de Remy. And as I look over the river when we get there, guess who's there? It's the French army. They just walked up to the side. So we march again for another week. We get to a place called Pont de Remy. No, we've been there, haven't we? That's where we're going. And again, the French are there and they're beating us there. Now, this time they burnt the bridge down, they were warming their hands in the timber, so they just stood there, so we're looking very sad. So, these 8 days, they drag on for a month. A month where we have no food, we have no shelter, that sickness is ripping away at our guts and things are looking desperate. But luckily we spot something on the river. Fording point. Tiny little crossing it was, barely get a man across it as it stood, but the important thing was the French army, they weren't on the other side. And so, we go around gathering up timber and wood, ripping down houses and barns, no matter if anyone's in them, slap that thing across that river. Well, it took a day for us to build our little bridge, another day to get the army across it. Finally, we're on the other side. Finally, we've given that French army the slip. Finally, we've got a clear old road all the way home to Calais. Calais. A day. A day, that's all we got, feeling good. And then we spotted it on the ground. Thousands of footprints, thousands of footprints. And as we realised, the French, they ain't gone upriver, now they know exactly where we're heading, and they've gone somewhere inland. Somewhere to block us off. So this last part of the march was pretty big, I admit. At this point, my boots were more holes than soles. Quite frankly, that dysentery had been running rife amongst the men. In fact, it got so bad that most of us just took our trousers off. Fed up and soiling ourselves, as it were. I used to tell the men, I used to use my famed humour that you're all so fond of, to keep their spirits high. I'd say, lads, sure, the French, they know where we're going. But at least now, they know where we've been as well. Now, it weren't long till we finally arrived at the battlefield itself. Ploughed fields out between the towns of Agincourt and Armouries. And as I stood there, I spotted over 25,000 Frenchmen down at the end of that field blocking my way home. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I was scared. I was scared out of my wits. But I knew my only way back was through that mess. And so I listened to my king, I take up my bow and I stand at his flank, and there I wait for the inevitable French charge. And I wait. And I wait. And while I wait and I wait, the French, they don't move. I mean, you can hardly blame them, can you? They're down there with food, shelter, more men on the way. And what they're looking at? A bunch of half-starved, trouserless Englishmen on a hill. I wouldn't have budged an inch myself. Problem is they wait so long, there ain't no fighting done at night, so we have to go back to camp. I know what you're thinking, last night on Earth, what are you going to be doing, eh? You're going to be drinking, you're going to be singing, you're going to be doing anything you can to take your mind off the battle to come. And usually you'd be right, but not that night. No, see, that night Henry got it in his head that the French were going to sneak up on us as we slept and cut our throats. And so he said, any man making a noise, even a whisper, well, he'll take your horse away from you. And if you're like me and you don't have a horse to give, do you know what he'll take? Your right ear. So now I spent my night listening to my mate's wretched, and puking and praying they ain't going to die the next day. Needless to say, needing much sleep. Still, time waits for no one. The sun is climbing its way back up into the sky, and I'm told to get back into my position. That's exactly what I do. And once again, I stand at the flank of my king, and I wait. And I wait, and I wait, and I wait. The French, they still don't want to move. And so Henry, realising that we're losing men by the minute to diseases, he says we've got to get down there and get this fight started. So he sends 20 of us down there to go and go with the French like animals on a hunt. So we run up to them, start plinking away with them with arrows. And well, they're used to that. We did that to them at Poitiers, we did that to them at Cressy. What they ain't used to is a bunch of English peasants barking at them like dogs, oinking at them like pigs. The French nobility, they couldn't stand it. They'd get all upset, all blood boiling, they're pushing their way to the front. And that was when my cue was to leave. So I get back to my lines for the last time. I stand at the flank of my king, King Henry V, my king, my commander, and I'm staring at over 25,000 Frenchmen with their shining armour and their flags waving in the wind. And I've only got 5,000 men at my back. But you know what? They're 5,000 Englishmen. And they're all jeering. They're all yelling. They're all ready for the fight of their lives. Don't get mad at me. I know I promised you a story of the battle and all, but the truth is you don't really remember much. It's just a lot of blood, a lot of mud, a lot of screaming. Now, the only thing I recall is this French prisoner I managed to get halfway through the battle. I remember having to sneak up behind the poor fella, grab him by the forehead and just cut him from ear to ear. What? I didn't want to do that, of course I didn't want to do that. The bloke was worth a lot of money to me. Remember rule number 2 is, do what your king says. Still, don't look so miserable, we won. Although I did give that away at the beginning, didn't I? So I kind of ruined the story. Yeah, no, they say over 10,000 Frenchmen lost their lives that day, and I'm inclined to believe it. You know, I was watching those bodies of theirs stuck up as eyes men in places. And how many Englishmen? They say less than 100 of us died. There's even rumours that less than 40 of us were felled. I don't know exactly the numbers, I weren't exactly counting myself, I just knew I wasn't amongst them. And that was the important thing. Well, that was it. No fanfare, no celebration to be had. No, we just stuck around, gathered up a few bits and bobs that was of value, acquiring a few things, and then we trod off home to Calais, leaving the French to, well, leaving the French to lick their wounds. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please click on the like button below so that I know what people like and I know what to make more of. Alternatively, if you've enjoyed it and think you'd like to see more, please click on the subscribe button. That way you get notified by YouTube whenever I bring out a new video. And you never know, there might be something in there that you hadn't considered, because I do cover a variety of things on the channel. And finally, if you have a little bit of cash going, I now have a Patreon account. I'm always looking for patrons, because at the end of the day, let's be perfectly honest, it's a good way for me to get a little bit of money that will use to buy review items or to travel to museums and so on. I don't put a huge amount on that. At the minute, all we've got is one tier charging £1 a month, which just, as I say, helps cover my costs. See you soon.